Okay, so what if a 2,500-year-old spiritual practice actually holds the key to freeing ourselves from the mental viruses of the 21st century? Today, we're going to combine some ancient wisdom with modern meme theory, and we're going to find out exactly how we can start to reclaim our own minds from the code that's trying to run us.
So I want you to picture your mind as this rich, fertile garden. But here's the thing. In our modern attention economy, it's not just the wind blowing in a few stray weed seeds anymore. No, you have algorithms, notifications, and that 24/7 news cycle. They are actively and constantly planting things in there, all fighting for your most valuable resource, your attention.
And these weeds? Well, scientists actually have a name for them now. They're called memes. We're talking about ideas, trends, political outrage, catchy songs. They are these self-replicating bits of information that live for just one purpose, to copy themselves. They are, for all intents and purposes, viruses of the mind. And they have found the perfect home in our always-on, hyper-connected brains.
Now, what's so fascinating about all this is that way before the internet, the Buddha pointed to a very similar core human problem. He called it dukkha. It's this fundamental, chronic sense of stress and dissatisfaction. He saw that our minds are just constantly agitated, yanked around by cravings and attachments. He was, in a way, diagnosing the symptoms of a mind that's been hijacked by parasitic thoughts.
So, if these memes are the viruses, then what's the host that they're infecting? Well, this is where we get to the Buddha's most radical insight, and honestly the one that is most relevant to us right now. It's the idea that the host itself, our very sense of self, is actually an illusion. So on one hand, you've got this Buddhist teaching of Anatta, which means no self. The Buddha taught that if you really look inside, you won't find a permanent, solid, unchanging you. There's just this constantly shifting stream of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. And then, on the other hand, modern memetics gives us a brand new term for pretty much the exact same idea.
A researcher named Susan Blackmore calls it the Selfplex, and she describes our identity as this massive, complex gang of memes. You know, ideas like, I believe this is my political party, I'm the kind of person who likes that, and they've all banded together for mutual protection. This Selfplex creates the illusion of a solid you just to trick you into defending it and spreading its memes.
And right here, this is the crucial point. Do you ever wonder why we feel so exhausted, so stressed out, so completely burned out? It's because we spend our entire lives defending this fragile construct. We get outraged when our ideas get attacked, we feel anxious about our identity, and we buy stuff to reinforce our selfplex, all of it in service of a collection of memes that aren't even us to begin with.
Okay, so if our sense of self is just a fiction cooked up by memes for their own survival, then how do we break free? Well, this is where it gets good. This is where we learn how to rebel. The evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins, the guy who actually coined the term meme, he ended his famous book, The Selfish Gene, with this incredibly powerful call to arms. He realized that even though we're built as machines for genes and, cultured as machines for memes, we have this unique ability to turn against our creators.
And the main tool for this rebellion, it was laid out for us 2,500 years ago. It's the practice of sati, or what we call mindfulness. And this isn't about emptying your mind or anything like that. It's about paying attention to what's happening in it, so you don't just get swept away. It's an act of active mental gardening.
Susan Blackmore calls this meme weeding. And here's how it works. First, you just sit and you observe. A thought pops up, a worry, some political outrage, a catchy song. That's a meme, and it's demanding your attention. Second, instead of grabbing onto it and saying, this is me, you just recognize it as an event, like a cloud passing in the sky of your mind. And third, you just let it go. You starve the meme of its food source, your attention, and you stop it from replicating. You literally break the chain. And this perfectly illustrates what the Buddha himself taught his disciples to do. When a thought or a feeling comes up, you simply note, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. It is a truly radical act of disidentification. You're not trying to kill the weeds, you're just stopping yourself from watering them.
Now, meme weeding is an incredible defensive tool, but the Buddha's path, it goes even deeper. It's not just about guarding the garden, it's about realizing there isn't a main character who owns the garden in the first place.
Think about it. Our culture is absolutely obsessed with this idea of being the main character of your life. Build your personal brand, curate your identity, tell your story. But what if the deepest form of freedom comes from just abandoning that role entirely?
This is the whole goal of deep meditation,
or samadhi. The idea here is to distribute your attention so evenly that no single thought, no single selfish meme can hijack the whole system and scream, "Look at me." And when you do this, something really amazing happens. The illusion that there's a little observer or a CEO inside your head, it just falls apart. The one who suffers, that stressed out, overworked self, it just disappears.
And this is what nirvana really means. It's not some heavenly afterlife. The word literally means to blow out, like blowing out a candle. It is the extinguishing of the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion that are constantly being fanned by the Selfplex. It is absolute freedom from the dictates of your mind's parasitic software.
But how does this freedom survive in a world that's constantly trying to reinfect us? Well, this brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial part of the practice, the ultimate shield.
From a memetic point of view, ethics and compassion are just a brilliant life hack. I mean, the Selfplex thrives on us versus them thinking. It's always reinforcing itself by creating enemies and defending its territory. But altruism and compassion, they directly short-circuit that whole process. By genuinely wishing well for others, you systematically dismantle the very structure that the Selfplex needs to survive. Your ego shrinks, and you become a much less friendly place for those selfish, divisive memes to live.
So, what this whole path ultimately teaches us is to see through the illusion, to realize you are not the collection of anxieties and beliefs that have just taken up residence in your mind. And that, of course, leads to the ultimate question, one to explore not just as a thought, but as a living experience. If you are not your thoughts, then who are you?